Hello everyone and welcome to another high-elo game of Age of Empires. Today, one of the game's most heavily armored infantry unit takes on one of the game's best anti-infantry unit, as the Viper, playing as the Bulgarians in green, prepares to take on Sebastian, playing as the Byzantines in red. Now, while the players heard their herdables explore their immediate surroundings and try to get their butts up to Feudal Age ASAP, not a bad time for us to take a look at the Civ matchup that we are going to be watching today. Now, the Bulgarians, we saw them very recently, are what I would call a cost-cutting civilization. Their militia line units upgrade for free. Their blacksmith and siege workshop upgrades cost 50% less food. Their blacksmiths work almost twice as fast as normal, and their town centers cost 50% less stone, which is great because the Bulgarians can then focus their stone expenditure on their unique structure, the Krepost. Think of this as a mini castle similar to the Sicilian donjon, except it's more expensive, comes with more HP, a higher attack, tankier armor. It does also provide 20 population space like a castle, and can only be built starting in the Castle Age, unlike the donjon, which can be built in the Feudal. And by the way, check out the last time we saw the donjon was actually played by this gentleman right here, as he took on this very civilization. Now, once you've saved all of your resources, you can invest them in building a pretty tough Bulgarian army. Even though the Bulgarians don't get champions, they can upgrade their two-handed swordsmen to be incredibly powerful with a huge +5 melee armor boost, and they can turn their cavalry Japanese by upgrading them to attack 33% faster, which is fantastic news for their unique unit, the Conic, a 2-for-1 that starts out as a tanky, powerful flail-wielding cavalry unit that then transforms into a less tanky, still powerful infantry unit when it gets knocked off its horse. Now, speaking of knocking the Bulgarian off its horse, let's take a look at the opponent, Sebastian, at the, let's call it 2 o'clock position of the map, playing as the Byzantines, a civilization designed to be as hard as possible to take down. Their structures get progressively more HP as the game goes on, 10% more, 2640 instead of 2400 for the town center, for example, 10% more in Dark Age, all the way up to 40% more in Imperial. Their bombard towers can be upgraded to do splash damage. They get town watch and town patrol for free, so they see enemies coming from a mile away. And once the battle actually starts, they can heal their units twice as fast, those Byzantine monks, and they can slow down enemy advances by spamming so-called trash units for days, because their camel riders, their skirmishers, their spearman line units, all of those are 25% cheaper. And their unique unit, the Cataphract, a heavy cavalry unit with a massive attack bonus against infantry that can take a pretty good beating itself with a good amount of HP and pretty strong base armor. Now, when the Byzantines finally do decide to advance up to the Imperial Age, they only pay 2/3 the cost of doing so, which does allow them to invest their saved resources in upgrading their Cataphracts even more by giving them trample damage and an even bigger attack bonus against infantry, who might be a little bit of trouble here if we decide to go the militia line unit for our Bulgarian. In any event, those are the two civilizations we've got before us. Sebastian, as we saw, inexplicably, not too sure what happened there in the beginning of the game, has already racked up 34 seconds of TC idle time at the moment. He is down 2 villagers. Now 1 villager as he begins expanding out into his immediate vicinity. Speaking of, he is heading over to the Viper. The Viper currently pushing deer. Let's take a look and see that immediate vicinity for our Byzantine. I like the goal to the back. Nice and secure. Primary stone, a little bit in the forward position, but right next to a forest means that it can be walled off not too hard. And then all 3 additional resources here on the upper left side of that Byzantine base. So unfortunately for our red Byzantine, both the extra golds are pretty much on the attack path between the Bulgarian base and that Byzantine base. Luckily for him, he does have that primary gold secured to the back. Let's take a look at the Viper's resources, both primary gold and stone to the back, and it looks like Sebastian's going to discover both of those resources any second now, and could potentially lame a couple of sheep here. Uh-oh, wait a second. Uh-oh. Man, the Shen Cup, the SAX Cup, we saw a whole bunch of laming happening. Let's see if Sebastian decides to take these sheep. Oh, he's leaving them for now, which means the Viper. How does the Viper know to send the villager here? He must suspect that the sheep are somewhere here, right? He does discover one. And now he's going to discover the other. So Sebastian, being a gentleman, is not going to teeth the delicious, delicious sheep meat of his opponent, although maybe he will. Maybe I should finish looking at the bases instead of constantly getting distracted. Secondary stone pile to the back, additional gold to the back as well, and additional gold kind of in the forward-ish, but not really on the attack path. Man, the location of resources here very much benefiting the Viper as opposed to his opponent, who the best you could say right now is that he has primary gold, and the Viper is already here. Where's that tower going down whenever you see 4 villagers, and he's managed to get a kill. So not only is Sebastian having to suffer with about 30 seconds more idle time than his opponent, which is basically a little bit more than a villager, now the Viper is taking the sheep. Oh, that's not a gentlemanly move after Sebastian let your 2 sheep stay. I was going to look at the forests and see where there were any potential areas of attack, but it looks like both players have 1 forest in the forward position. Offensive tower for the Bulgarian is up. Looks like the kill count 6-1. The Viper has killed 4 villagers. Remember, whenever the Bulgarians go militia play, those militia then become men-at-arms in Feudal Age, and if they're lucky enough to stick around to the castle, they become long swordsmen. Kind of like, remember, the Turks, with their scouts becoming light cav, becoming hussars. But what an absolutely disastrous start here for our Byzantine. He's lost 4 villagers. He's lost 2 military units. He himself has managed to kill 3 military units of his opponent. 2 of those kills here from the town, by the town center rather. And as I was about to say, both players look like they have the exact same forest shapes with a bit of a triangle spearhead. And so the Viper keeping on the pressure. He's refusing to leave. He is repairing as much as he can. He is attacking as much as he can. He's going to run out of stone, though, and I don't see any more villagers on stone for our Bulgarian. So is this a tower push? Is this a tower push with a lowercase TP? Now he's thieving the berries as well. I mean, okay. The Viper's out for blood. And he's going to pretty much get it. He is continuing to be aggressive here. He's trying to wall this off with palisades. I love, by the way, that he's not leaving the corners exposed like pro players sometimes do. And he is trying to wall off all 8 tiles, leaving 1 tile maybe open for repairing. So all 7 tiles, I should say. And that's so unfortunate. The Viper just continuing to rack up kills. The kill count is now 9-3, 5 dead Byzantine villagers. Look at Sebastian. He's down 9 villagers. This is about an atrocious a start as you could possibly have had against one of the players you should never hope to have that kind of start against. I mean, oof. And good news for Sebastian. The Viper is temporarily housed, which will give him an opportunity to catch up in villager count. Maybe a little bit, 1 or 2 villagers. I believe building a house with 1 villager does take the exact same amount of time as training a villager. 25 seconds. Sebastian, he has loom. The Viper also has loom. I was wondering maybe one player skipped it, but look at the TC idle time now on Sebastian's town center. Almost 2 minutes. I mean, he's down 7 villagers. He was down 9 or 10 a few seconds ago. Now he's down only 7. Let's see what our Byzantine can do, because like I said, this is a civilization literally built to be as hard as frickin' possible to take down. Town center now comes with 20% more HP. And by the way, unlike the Persians, who have double the HP on their town centers and docks, this feature applies to all Byzantine structures. I'm talking about houses, lumber camps, barracks. They all come with 20% more. 1800 HP to 1500. The Viper's house is at 750 to the 900. And so the longer he can stick around, the better it is. And the Viper, by the way, has no stone. I'm gonna stop saying by the way so many times. The Viper has no stone, and now he's losing villagers. Sebastian's now only down 4 villagers. So far, a decent hold from him. Byzantines do not get bloodlines, and so these scouts are never going to really reach, you know, maybe, well, what's the expression? Aim for the something, reach the something. Aim for the moon, aim for the sun, reach the stars. Aim for the stars, reach, I don't know, the atmosphere. Something like that. They're never going to reach 20 extra HP. Got a couple of Bulgarian infantry units as now Sebastian pulls a play out of Hera's playbook and says, you know what, you're pressing into me. Let me head right over and press into you. I don't know what the hell the point of that one palisade wall was. We've got a bit of a scout chase developing here. Our Byzantine needs to get out. Like I was saying, the Byzantines, as much as I think the Teutons are designed to take a punch to the face, the Byzantines are designed to pretty much be a brick wall. Much like the delicious junk food that I enjoy that is slowly but surely clogging up my arteries, man, can they clog up the attack paths with their cheaper spearmen, skirmishers, and camel riders. Camel riders, of course, not being an option here in the Feudal Age. Now, Sebastian is building, slowly but surely, an economy of some kind. He's only down one villager. Unfortunately for him, look at the Viper's resources. He is heading into the Castle Age. And unlike the Sicilians who have their donjon in Feudal, he is going to hit Castle Age. Already 6 villagers have been reallocated to stone. These scouts, if they got something accomplished, will have seen it in picture, but there's a lot. Now 7 on stone. So it's not a matter of if, but when and where that Krepost is going to be placed. And our Byzantine is also heading up. I mean, kudos to Sebastian. He's lost 5 villagers to 3. He's lost 10 total to 6. He's on par with the Viper in villager count, but he's behind 30 seconds. And unfortunately, I believe he has had to cut a few corners here and there in terms of military industrial complex. And so he's currently sitting on 1 barracks. Our Bulgarian building a second very much forward barracks, which is going to remove the defender's advantage that our Byzantine has. The Viper's base, by the way, completely open. So now might be a good time to send a few scouts onto the Viper's turf. Although that being said, obviously scouts, these are not Magyar scouts. These are not Berber Castle Age light cavalry units. These are full price 80 food scouts. And cool feature in 22 seconds, like I like to look at with the Turks, we will see these men-at-arms grow up, go through their rite of passage immediately, and here come the villagers. Okay, the Viper pulling them a little bit too early. Still has 5 seconds. Let's see them turn into longswordsmen. There they are, immediately, and now a Krepost as well. And as much as I think our Byzantine did an amazing job, let's see how he holds against this. Now, not exactly the greatest of locations for laming much, this Krepost. We'll add some arrow fire to the Byzantine town center, but the Byzantine town center is now 30% more HP than your average TC. But on the flanks as well, oh, if he can get the primary gold, that's game over for Sebastian, because no stone to the bottom, no extra gold. The Viper choosing literally the perfect place to attack from. And now he's running his villagers into the TC. Oh, if only these were Spanish villagers, Incan villagers, maybe even Pole villagers. They could last a little bit longer, but wow. Krepost goes up, gets 1 kill. Down goes the villager, and down goes Sebastian's hopes of ever securing a W in this game. I don't think it's the Krepost. I think it's this. The Viper has seen, let's actually see. So he has seen the 2 extra golds. He's seen the main gold, and he's seen the main stone. And unfortunately for Sebastian, the main secondary stone is also up here, but the Viper literally getting, what is it, the femoral artery? The one that if you nick it, you basically die. Man, I saw this very, very weird. Take a second for a tangent here. I saw this very weird video of a man who was playing with a chicken, and the chicken was biting at him, and they were all having fun everywhere. And then the chicken accidentally pecked his femoral artery, and the guy died 5 minutes later. That is exactly what Sebastian did. The Viper did here to Sebastian. He went up the one area. Had the Viper maybe pivoted south to try to secure the stone, like some pro players would have done, for example, put a tower here, then gone stone mining, and then used that stone to get a Krepost up? No. He went this way, lamed 2 extra patches of stone, and once those long swordsmen come out, these are not militia, these are not men-at-arms, these are long swordsmen that have forging and attack +1 with 2 melee armor, 2 pierce armor. And so while they're probably going to suck against the town center, who's kidding who, they're not going to suck against villagers around the periphery of the town center. And a Okay, a monastery, not terrible. The double Byzantine monastery. Unfortunately, yeah, your units are not Portuguese, so you pay full price for these 100 gold monks, and now that your gold's been lamed. So just a perfect attack. The Viper showing us the same with the Sicilian Donjon a few days ago. Now he's showing us the same with, I don't even want to call this a tower rush, but just a attack that takes advantage of the location of the resources, because this is, I think, a very prime example of why you should always explore your opponent's base. Maybe you don't need to do it ASAP, push your deer and stuff like that, but I mean, I'm not going to give game advice and build order advice. I leave that to the actual people, the players of the game. But theoretically, from the ivory tower atop which I sit, this is just a absolute clear example of 1, 2, 3 resource patches lame. The fourth, not even that relevant. What's the Byzantine going to do with stone? Counter tower push this? He definitely doesn't have enough for a castle at all. And he's bankrupted himself getting up to Castle Age. But ultimately, I think it's really this. He left this gold mining operation up and running. 2 monasteries pumping out those Byzantine monks. Now, remember, not only do they heal units twice as fast, those Byzantine monks, but again, 9 range to the 0 range of the longswordsman means that the Viper is going to start donating a lot of his military to the Byzantine army. And unfortunately, Sebastian did an absolute boss hold here. He got to who would have gotten to Castle Age 30 seconds behind their opponent this way? I think very, very few players. Unfortunately for him, the Krepos to the front, the longswordsman mobile army kind of circling the perimeter of this red squircle, this 6 range of the town center, and now they're also in the wood line. And like I said, these are not, the villagers are nothing particularly special here for the Byzantines. They're not, again, the Spanish, the Incas, the Poles, not even the Berbers or the Romans or anything, even though I don't think that would have helped. Berbers and Romans probably would have GG'd here as well. But in any event, what a amazing push. What an amazing defense. And even though the game only lasted 22 minutes, it's a really fun game. 12 long swordsmen. For the most part, men-at-arms, PKPM right at the end, PKPM middle of the game. Sebastian, unfortunately, didn't have the ability. And even, I'm trying to think, of the 3 unit types that Sebastian can train here that are discounted, like I said, clogging up the arterial works, the attack paths of his opponent. Skirmisher is not going to accomplish jack against the units. Spearmen, not going to accomplish jack. Camels need gold. Even camels are not going to do that well against this, although their HP is probably going to help them prevail in the battle. Their 0 base armor, their weak attack is definitely going to be a, definitely not going to help out. Economically, the game is, didn't really get that far ahead. A lot of wood for our Byzantine, but every other resource going to our Bulgarian. 12 army high to 3. Oh, that's adorable. Total high. Total army 17-7. So again, not the longest game. 1 building destroyed here. The kill count 9 villagers to 3, and just to catch up in villager count, that just shows you how much Sebastian had to sacrifice in terms of his military. So he focused, put his head down. We saw a bit of a slower start for him with all that idle time on his TC, but man, did he catch up. And truly, even though he tapped out at the 22-minute mark, like I said, an absolute amazing push out of the Viper, an absolute amazing hold for a while from our Byzantine Sebastian, but ultimately, like I said, the laming of the resources, but more importantly, the mobile army here to the north, to the south, and kicking Sebastian off the gold is pretty much the death knell, the nail in the coffin, if you will. And Sebastian just holds as long as he can. It's like holding your breath underwater. He held, but ultimately he had to come up to the surface, taps out, lives to fight another day. And it is the Viper, our Bulgarian, who, like in his game with the Sicilian Donjon, Krepos mini castle. Maybe that's the Viper should pivot into that kind of gameplay specialization. Like, Red Phosphor has his fast castle, Mysterio holds and does his Hydra attacks in 10 different locations. Maybe this is the Viper's strength. Who knows? These mini castle plays. But in any event, with the tower, with the mini castle, and with the mobile army of automatically upgrading longswordsmen, which, by the way, shouldn't be discounted. It is the Viper, our Bulgarian, who takes the W, but GG in a short but action-packed game to both players. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips and make sure to subscribe and enable notifications so that you're notified of my latest uploads.